Hey, so I want to go through a lot of the different trigger point things and stretches that you can start doing if you have shoulder pain to start to alleviate, get you back some range of motion. So one of the first things that I actually love doing is hitting the pec minor. So the pec minor, small little muscle, it's part of the reason we end up with these rounded shoulders and this shoulder position. And so if you can take a lacrosse ball, even a tennis ball if really needed, but the harder the better, and wedge it up underneath into that pec and then really press into it. Now once you're feeling ready, square the shoulders up to that ball and you're gonna roll or find yourself in this position that allows you to really hit all through that pec minor. If you find a position where it's really, really tight, just sit on it for a while, right? If you're really good and you've got the space, if you're not up against a door jamb, now you can start going for a light raise above the head. I can only get about here when I'm pressing in, right? You may be able to go higher depending on how tight your shoulders are, but it really allows me to get some extra range of motion. You can see my face, how I'm really grinding that, right? Part two of this, the other place to definitely release is upper traps. A lot of us carry so much stress in our upper traps and they're tight because they're actually pulling forward, right? So you're gonna need that same type of thing where you're wedging up against. I'm gonna press deep inside of there. I'm gonna wedge my lower body down a little bit. And now from here, I'm just getting as much range of motion overhead as possible. So I'm reaching over with that hand. I like to go slightly out, so I'm not gonna allow myself to impinge in any way, and just get a nice exhale, and you can find a spot, and you can even just sit on it. So you're using your arm as motion as opposed to the ball for rotating or any kind of motion. All right, so next two things, once you've done those releases, mostly with a foam roller on the ground is the easiest way to do it. I'm gonna go with a lat release. So the lat, one of its attachment points actually comes up and around to the front side of that glenohumeral joint, so the shoulder joint, right? And that can pull you down as well. So sometimes we overactivate our lats without even realizing it from them just being in this tight position from sitting, a lot of desk work. So if you can stretch the lat and also mobilize it better, we're gonna be in a better position. So I like to lean into it and really just roll all along that backside. I go right up against the part of my armpit there, back, forth, and you're gonna spend about 30 seconds, 40 seconds on each one of these. If you have a real good trigger point, I like to roll into it a little bit, right? And then even pull back and pull. So I'm getting both sides of that, right? Second one with this foam roller here, you're gonna go right along your entire spine, okay? Right along your entire spine, and you may need a head support or a longer one, kind of depending on you, your body, right? But from here, the first thing I'm gonna do is open up those wings, and I'm pinching into that foam roller. Once I've got a good pinch, now I can bring my arms all the way up, and I can bear hug myself, make myself feel a little better, and then I'm gonna roll all the way along. So I'm almost pulling the rhomboids out, right? So my scaps now, my shoulder blades are pulled up into this position, as long as this isn't causing pinching, and I'm pulling all along. So it feels really good right in that center part of my upper back, which is probably also a really tight area, right? So just back, forth, and if you need to reset between each one and some air, get that pinch, trying to not go up into the neck or the traps, we just release those, and then back on up, start again, totally can. All right, so next two stretches, now we're gonna use some resistance bands up here. So I like to actually pardon me there. I like to link my hand all the way through the band. Maybe I do like to lick the band, I don't know. But from here, grab on nice and tight, okay? You're gonna hinge back as much as you possibly can. I'm putting my hand on my rib cage here because it's really easy to hyperextend, and then I'm not actually getting anything with my shoulder or my lat. And I'm gonna exhale and allow myself to sit nice and deep. You're gonna feel that entire lat stretch, which is really, really nice. I keep my hand overhand so my knuckles are facing straight on up to get a little bit more into this deep part of the lat. If I wanna get more on the outside of the shoulder, right? So as long as you don't have any kind of issue there, any kind of rotator cuff stuff, I'll rotate the hand and pull from this direction. So I'll feel it a little bit more within the shoulder capsule itself as opposed to the lat, but I get both aspects. And then the last thing, I'll switch arms so I can face you this way. Same thing where you're linked through, but I'll go with a cross stretch. And I'll just look towards that shoulder, and you'll feel your entire delt get stretched all the way through here and really leaning on into it. So you can push through the hip, push through the shoulder. Just make sure you don't have any kind of rotator cuff tears before you do those types of moves, but it should really start to loosen things up. I didn't even hit both sides, starting to feel a lot better definitely more prepped for any kind of work, where now I can go and do the strengthening aspect to keep myself in that position and make those shoulders stronger. So stay tuned. I'll be posting that kind of video later on this week.